actually had Dave pay him out. I can even produce the text for it. I said, you know what? I'll give you $100 if you produce this. He produced it for me, and I had Dave pay the kid out.
Okay. Can we engage with a hypothetical now, though? Let's say we can bounce radar off of it. It comes back, it's the same. What does that tell you? Does that demonstrate something for you for flat Earth? Like, I don't get how any of this explains.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It demonstrates to me that the moon is a physical object in the sky.
So if we can measure it 95% of the time, and then we do it that last 5%, then you'll say the moon is a physical object in the sky.
The 95% of this time, the measurements are highly suspect. But if you can pull it off on new moon, I'll be like, that's interesting.
Oh, so it won't even change your mind about that. So this is demonstrating nothing to you.
Why do you care if it changes my mind or not?
Well, you were asking me,
why do you not
what have I
collect your money? Do you want me to join a cult? Do you want me to join a cult or something? Why do you care what it does for me?
Because I think having untrue beliefs is detrimental to our personal well-being. And I think that
excellent. So let me ask you a question. I have a belief that a bunch of delusional weirdos have told me is untrue. And I'm going to tell you my belief. I believe that horizontal is an orientation of zero slope over distance. And a bunch of delusional weirdos have told me, no, horizontal increases in elevation over distance, but only one way. And actually in both ways. It never decreases in elevation over distance.
You're saying the horizon gets higher as you go high up?
No, horizontal, an orientation. Not the horizon.
Okay.
Horizontal. The orientation of horizontal. No, not eye level. Horizontal.
I mean, eye level and horizontal are synonymous to me. Maybe you got to explain what horizontal means to you.
Horizontal is an actual physical orientation that can be established in reality over distance.
Using what?
Using tools.
Like the theodolite?
Levels. Any sort of level. Auto level, water level, spirit level, any sort of level will establish horizontal over distance. An orientation of zero slope.
Yeah, that's
it's not eye level. No. Your eyes have all sorts. Yeah, well, what you mean with eye level doesn't make a difference because you can see things that are bizarre. Shit changes in the distance all the time.
90 degrees from vertical. How does that work?
Horizontal is an orientation that is perpendicular to a vertical plane of reference.
Yeah, just what I said. Okay.
A vertical plane of reference is perpendicular to horizontal at every point along the horizontal line.
Okay.
Excellent. We agree.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying.
Do you not agree with that?
I mean, I've seen reciprocal zenith angle measurements, and they're not all perpendicular to each other. The zeniths are slightly deflected.
Every perpendicular to a horizontal line is vertical.
Say that one more time. I want to make sure I understood what you said.
Holy shit, that was like 7 words.
Every perpendicular
to a horizontal line is vertical.
Okay, to one particular vertical, yeah, okay.
What do you mean to one particular vertical? Every perpendicular to a horizontal line is vertical.
Like if you had a curve and
horizontal's not
wanted
curved.
to do
No, there's no curve.
I guess
horizontal is not curved.
I understand.
No, horizontal. You don't think horizontal is curved, do you?
If you move your location,
there's no
it shows that you have.
Is horizontal curved? Yes or no?
On the Earth, yes. The horizon does curve.
Excellent. So every perpendicular to horizontal is obviously vertical.
Okay. Sure. At each individual spot. What does that demonstrate?
All along an established horizontal over distance, every perpendicular is vertical to it.
Yeah, I think you guys are stuck at. Maybe I'm wrong. Horizontal is a line. It's not a point. I mean,
it's a plane or a line.
Yeah, it's a plane. Sure.
Well, it can be a line. It can be a line of reference or a plane of reference over distance or over area, established with tools. It's the basis. It's a core tenet of all of architectural engineering, all of surveying. Obviously, it's a core tenet of the Cartesian coordinate system, and it is a plane or line of zero slope over distance. It's an orientation, horizontal. Very simple.
You're just describing like what a theodolite does, right?
No, I'm describing what an auto level does. A theodolite measures angles. An auto level establishes horizontal.
Sure.
Excellent. So we understand that horizontal is an orientation of zero slope over distance.
Sure.
Excellent. Thanks. Cheers.
Did that demonstrate something, or?
Nope. God bless.
Okay.
Well, it seems like you guys. It seems like you guys agree. I mean, the horizontal established by the auto level is it's an orientation, and all verticals are perpendicular to that horizontal. Obviously, shouldn't be a
Well,
disagreement.
I didn't say that all verticals are not perpendicular to each other vertical.
I
To
thought
all
you said
other
anywhere you go
Verticals
along that
verticals
horizontal would be
are not
perpendicular.
verticals are not perpendicular to each other. I don't know where you came up with that.
Oh, you don't think verticals are perpendicular to each other, or parallel to each other? I said the wrong word there.
So all verticals are perpendicular to horizontal.
Yeah, but all verticals are not parallel to each other.
All perpendiculars to horizontal, which is a straight line or a plane of reference, by Euclidean principles, all perpendiculars to a straight line or a plane have to be parallel to each other.
Yeah, for that particular vertical. Yes.
Now we're talking about an established horizontal over distance.
Well, they should be using spherical geometry, not Euclidean. But they use Euclidean anyway.
There's
What,
no
like
such thing as
GPS?
spherical. There's no such thing as spherical geometry. It's just there are no postulates, there are no axioms, there are no definitions. There's a thing called spherical trigonometry. That's Euclidean.
Where the triangle's greater than 180 degrees.
Yep.
Now, there's no
Spherical.
such thing as a triangle that's greater than 180 degrees, but people pretend there are. But triangles have three straight sides and obviously have angles that equal 180 degrees. That's called, a principle of Euclidean geometry. Now,
You could do it on a basketball.
Spherical trigonometry also has Euclidean triangles in it. It's just that they're all established inside the ball or outside the ball. But there's no such thing as spherical geometry. That would be a geometry where straight lines don't exist. And I've read books on it, and people go insane. Like, people have gone literally insane trying to imagine a geometry with no straight lines.
Seems like people who do celestial navigation are pretty sane, and they know how to do it.
What you're imagining
Mhm.
requires straight lines.
Yes. It requires
Okay, so
straight
that's
lines and
not
curved lines.
that's straight lines and curved lines are Euclidean.
Okay. I mean, it requires
It's
both
not.
types of lines. So
It's
also,
it's
I guess.
It's Euclidean geometry.
All right. Well, it's nice talking. I gotta go. Thanks for talking to me. Appreciate it.
Cheers. They often tap out.
Sir, is it true that you control $1 billion hedge fund?
Actually, it's closer to 3.5.
Would you tell us which one it is?
Oh, fuck no. Are you kidding me?
That's a weird question.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to believe that you control a hedge fund that's this powerful, sir.
It's not that powerful. There are massive, massive hedge funds out there. Citadel is huge. Renaissance is huge. I mean, there's Greenlight is huge. I can think of very, very big hedge funds.
You got any investment tips for me?
Oh man, right now I would be very low net and very low gross, which is what we are, and I would wait for opportunities.
Such as
It's hard to say because the geopolitical landscape makes it very, very difficult to invest because you don't know what Trump will say one day to the next, and you get insane moves in stocks. Look at Hertz. Take a look at Hertz, which has massive short interest. It's gone parabolic. It's like GameStop right now. It's crazy.
Right,
And you would think you would.
I'll go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I just had a quick question. One of my favorite female financial advisors, her first rule of money is truth equals money, always has, always will. Lies cost money, always has, always will. Do you think that's true or accurate?
Who said that? A woman said that?
Yeah, Susie Orman. She was actually homeless one time, but then she ended up becoming.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that dislike some of her maybe associations in the past, but what do you think with that law of money, that first law? Do you think it's accurate?
I mean,
think so.
I would say, obviously, the truth rules. I mean, it's the first verse in Genesis. So obviously, the Logos rules. So you try to live by that. But let's face it, the market is a casino that is run by people who do not believe in the Logos. So caveat emptor, as they say.
Buyer beware.
Indeed.
What do you think about crypto?
Complicated. I've been short MicroStrategy while being long Coinbase. I don't tend to bet on crypto directly. I bet on it indirectly through publicly traded companies. This is not
What, like
financial
ETFs?
advice. No, actually, I mean, Coinbase is a publicly traded company that's not an ETF, and MicroStrategy is, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's apparently a publicly traded company, but it's basically just sort of Bitcoin with a guy named Michael Saylor, who a good friend of mine took him public back in the day.
You don't see yourself getting into ETFs or crypto directly?
My PA is different than my fund. So yes, I do hold crypto in my PA, and my fund does hold ETFs, mostly on the short side.
What are your top 2 favorite cryptos that you feel confident with?
Sir,
I don't.
He's shorting crypto. He's not buying.
The
He's shorting.
the only 2 cryptos I've ever held in my PA are Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
And do you have any thoughts
I
on
don't.
XRP?
Yeah. No, I don't have the bandwidth to do that, and it's just not going to be something that I'm gonna get my fund involved with.
Yeah, I would not
Okay.
touch XRP with a 10-foot stick. Keep that thing away from me.
If I had a 10-foot stick, I wouldn't touch you either. Okay.
You're safe, Dice.
What's your favorite? I don't know. I guess 2 stock options.
Like, we're gonna have to hold you down and just beat it out of you because you're not being cooperative, sir. Give us the answers.
If I had the answers, I wouldn't have such a small fund. I would have a much bigger fund. But it's hard to manage money. It's hard to manage money with a bigger fund because you get too big, and then all of a sudden you just become a mirror to, the S&P or the Nasdaq. You need to be nimble. If you get over 10 or 12 billion dollars in this market, you just all of a sudden just become a proxy for the market in general, which is something that investors don't want. Investors want alpha. They don't want beta.
And so how did you grow your fund to 3.5 billion? That's still very impressive.
Through providing alpha to investors. And I'm not saying it's $3.5 billion, but I'm going to say that it's in the range of, plus or minus. But through good shorting, I guess.
And
Mostly good shorting.
And are your positions based off algorithmic strategies or discretionary strategies?
Bottom up, fundamental. We don't have macro overlays. We don't, completely discount the macro. With macro, we either gross up or gross down.
Being very vague.
Now, if you were in the business, you would understand exactly what I'm saying. And we will net up and net down also accordingly. If we feel comfortable and there's lots of opportunities and the ground is fertile, our net will grow and our gross will grow. And if it's negative and scary environment, volatility wise, gross will shrink, and net may go slightly short, but it'll never go massively short because at the end of the day, companies grow. We're not, unless all of a sudden all the economies in the world contract, which isn't going to happen because inflation is never going away.
I have a slightly hostile question.
Sounds about right. What you got?
You ready? You ready for it? Slightly hostile here.
No, we don't
If
want
you
that.
if you manage that kind of money, then how come flat earthers are at the mercy of Globers at all these experiments and they can't find funding?
Got him.
So
Well,
what experiment would you like to fund?
Where were you when Whitson and Jaron were going and we're trying to get funding?
I was willing to fund, and I'll tell you what I would have funded. And I said it to multiple people. I even said it to Dave Weiss. I said I will fund the flights, private jets. And here's the flight path. Buenos Aires, Union Glacier to the quote unquote South Pole to McMurdo out to Auckland, New Zealand.
You've thought about it.
Anyone, and there's no ETOPS involved. You can do this in twin engines, no problem. I can show you various pictures. I can show you, I've asked for this. I'll show you here. I'll post, literally FlexJet just sent me this because I spent, literally it's in, that arrived in my office. Oh, maybe I should delete that.
yeah.
And maybe I should fix it. Here, this one. I'll fix it. Here we go.
Okay.
I'll fix it. FlexJet just sent me, like, I fly FlexJet, right? I was on a G650 last month.
You know,
I
most
asked them,
flat earthers too, right?
what's up?
Most pilots are actually flat earthers also.
I mean, I don't tend to fuck with people like pilots and shit. Like, I don't even bother even saying shit to people. There you go. There's my FlexJet box. They were like, here you go. The world is yours to discover. I was like, all right, where are we going? And inside is a bunch of books, begging you to take trips to various places. So, a G650 3ER or a Global 7500 that Wolfie claims to fly or whatever. Yeah, I could fund it. Sure. No one will fly it. It's not fucking possible. By the way, those jets won't do ice runways, so you have to have different kind of jets. They're actually cheaper to fly than a G650 or a Global 7500. But the quote unquote final test, and I would say I'd want to double the price. I'd want to do it both ways. I'd want to go Auckland, McMurdo, South Pole, EZE, which is Buenos Aires, which I've been to many times, to Union Glacier, to South Pole. Everybody gets off of one plane, gets on the other plane, and flies out the other way. Less than $1 million, probably $700,000-800,000. Why didn't our little pastor fund that?
I don't know. I was just
Because I can tell you right now, there are a lot of people that would be like, yeah, that would fuck with my head. Way more than circling the sun in Antarctica would fuck with their heads.
And this would prove the flat Earth, in your opinion, this experiment?
This would seriously fuck with people's heads.
So you basically wanted to do a loop around Antarctica to prove that it's like the ice wall?
Loop? I just want to fly straight from Buenos Aires, a straight flight path.
Like straight as a crow flies?
I mean, I think that technically the straight flight path as the crow flies is Buenos Aires to Perth and Cape Town to Auckland. I think those are the two straight flight paths. If you look at them on an azimuthal.
How would you navigate flying straight? Would you use a northern magnetic compass?
I wouldn't know how to, but I just want to go. I want to go from South America over to Auckland or Perth or something like that in a very short amount of time.
Supposedly there is a circumnavigating polar jet stream.
Supposedly, I think it's Blue Origin's claiming they're gonna circumnavigate from north to south with one of their rocket missions or something. They're claiming.
Interesting.
I'd like to see 4 or 5 hours of mountains over Antarctica until you pop out on the other side and see ocean. Love to see that. That would seriously screw with my head.
Supposedly there's 138 volcanoes, one at least that's active. So potentially you could see it.
Wild. I will tell you this, I'll never be on one of those flights, but I'll happily fund it. as long as people I don't like are on those flights, or people potentially that I don't know.
Do you think there's a firmament?
I mean, the Bible says there is a firmament. I don't know what a firmament means, though. It just means, something about, the sky. But, firm, you watch things go up and they appear to be going through some sort of, I don't know, fluid. People call gases fluids, so I don't know what's going on up there. I know a bunch of 60-year-old broads didn't go up 100 miles or 60 miles or whatever and then slam down on the ground in the desert without, seriously, like, football mouthpieces in their mouths.
Yeah, that was
Did
terrible.
you see how the hatch opened up before it was supposed to?
Yeah, I don't even give a shit about that. Just watch it hit the ground and imagine a bunch of 60-year-old women in it, and then they're all popping out smiling. I'm sorry, but if you slam a bunch of old ladies on the ground or William Shatner on the ground like that, he's not coming out smiling.
That's true.
Yeah, that was a rough landing.
Drop a ball in the desert and watch how much dust it. Then drop a car. Drop a car from 100 feet and see how much dust it kicks up. That's what it looked like when that thing hit the ground. I showed it to a guy in my office. I said, "Would you want to be in that thing?" Total normie. He's like, "Are you telling me it wasn't real?" Because he knows I'm kind of like one of these people who goes, "Yeah, I don't know if that's real or not." He's like, "Fuck no, I probably wouldn't want to be in that." I said, "Would you put your wife in that?" He said, "Fuck no." I said, "Does Bezos hate his wife?"
I was
And he
thinking the same
laughed.
thing. Yeah, I was thinking, why would you put these women in harm's way?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, think about it. Like, you're going to shoot something up that goes, 60 miles up. And if anything goes wrong, if they have some sort of leak or whatever, what's their option? Are there masks that drop down so that they can breathe? They all popped out extremely happy. None of them were like, "Oh my goodness, that was the scariest thing." I mean, ever been on a roller coaster with your wife? I have. My wife was almost in tears when she got off of it. None of these women seemed completely affected. Just nonplussed. Like, whatever. Oh, it's so great. We went to space. Come on. The
You see how
fakest and
flimsy that
gayest
door
thing
was
I've
when
ever
you
seen.
opened it up?
Yeah, I mean, what was that, the airlock? How are they breathing in there? Where is the oxygen when they're going up for 11 minutes? Is it just a pure coffin? Or is there some sort of ambient temperature in there? How are they maintaining pressure? What pressure are they at? Are they at 14.7 psi? Or do they lower it to 5 for the 60-year-old women?
How many hours were they up there?
11, total flight time is supposedly 11 minutes. But whatever. Are they giving them any pressure? How do they pressurize the capsule?
Well, how did they get
Or
these
even
women to
regulate it?
act? Did they get them to act willingly? Like, maybe did they give them a proposal, meaning that they're acting, or do you think they were hypnotized?
It's a great question. People who get paid a lot of money will act in commercials. Did they go on a Vomit Comet flight? Maybe. I think that would be the safer way to take a bunch of women up and allow them to experience weightlessness. Give them a Vomit Comet flight. And then, put the capsule windows in the Vomit Comet.
Oh yeah, that would explain the free fall, but I guess like the shots out the window that look a little curvy. I guess it wouldn't explain that if it's just a free fall.
Yeah, but the shots, when you see it on the ground, the shots look curvy as well. Even when William Shatner when you looked out, they look curvy out of those windows anyway.
It did? You have
On
from
the ground?
Well, I'd like to see that. If you have any, I don't know if you're saying it's just as curved, so it could be the window.
Yeah.
You're saying?
Yeah, people have posted that on Twitter. It's just like the Red Bull shot.
Yeah, but do you think they can make the window curved enough to make it look like that though, and fool people like that are even in the thing? Like even if a regular civilian person went up on it.
So I can tell you that there's so I've flown on Concorde once, and I thought when I flew on it that I saw the curve of the Earth. And then who's that guy? Level Earth Observer went into the Concorde Museum, and he took a picture out the window of the Concorde, and the ground outside of the Concorde window was curved on the ground. How much curve do you need to see? It's not like they saw the ball. The woman who went up with Shatner said, "Oh, I wanted to see the curved Earth, but they said we didn't go high enough." The old lady, the grandma lady. Meanwhile, I mean, who's dropping Shatner and the grandma on the ground as hard as those women were dropped? The 60-year-old women with the Botox.
Hot landing should have definitely caused compression in your spinal cord.
For sure. I hope that
Like your vertebrae can like compress. Like it's really bad actually to land like that. It's like a very hard landing.
No, but you guys are making claims without verifying your claims. Like you can't claim that landing is, like that's so bad for you without verifying it.
it looked like a rough landing. Yeah, we should see how fast they were traveling.
Yeah, force equals mass times acceleration, so it's pretty easy to figure out the kinetic energy in the landing.
But when the people got out of the rocket, they looked like they were just fine.
Oh my, TV, amazing. Must be real. I saw it on TV.
Well, you guys are claiming that it must have been so bad, but clearly they were just fine. So maybe it wasn't so bad.
So that means you could demonstrate it for us.
What was that, Dice Low? It's kind of hard to hear you.
I was saying maybe you could demonstrate it for us. Strap you in a chair at like, I don't know, 30 feet. Push you off.
Well, maybe the rocket has technology inside of it to make them land smoothly. Like maybe the inside, it makes the seat so, it absorbs the force and so they're fine. Maybe it does something like that.
Maybe they got like quantum landing springs.
Yeah, I mean, you say that believing that it's not real, but maybe they do have that.
Maybe they had tinted windows too, but it didn't look like they did. Maybe they had a fart fan too, but I don't know. I didn't see one.
If I was ever given the opportunity to go to space, I would gladly take it.
Well, I'm gonna build a slingshot. We're gonna try to get you up there. You ever see that flat Earth guy that built that rocket?
So, do you want to know what my crypto strategy is right now, Diceflow?
Let me guess. Solana and unicorn fart dust.
No, so what I do is I long Bitcoin with leverage, and then I short XRP with leverage.
Yeah, I believe that when I saw it. Send me your public address so I could look at that.
Sure, I'm not doxing my wallet to you.
That's not doxing your wallet. It's just fucking. It's just your wallet. There's nothing associated with you on it.
But sir, I don't want you seeing how much money I have, sir.
Well, I'm just saying if you're really shorting XRP, I'd like to see that because I don't really believe it, to be honest.
I'm using 3x leverage to short. And then so 50% of my portfolio is shorting XRP and 50% of my portfolio is longing Bitcoin. So basically I'm betting that Bitcoin will go up and XRP will go down relative to each other. That Bitcoin will
short crypto. How do you short crypto at all besides holding?
Well, to short it, you have a contract.
Yeah, you can place future future transactions. So
Yeah.
it'll execute when it meets a certain target.
Yeah, but that's not a true short. You know what I mean?
I'm shorting contracts. I'm not shorting XRP. It's contracts. So
I'm
basically,
a bit boggled how you're doing that. I mean, I know how shorting works, so that's why I'm like, maybe it'd be called something else of crypto, but I don't see how you could short.
Yeah, they're
Crypto.
they're future contracts. They're crypto futures.
So is it like are you making bets on contracts to fail?
He's making bets that positions, yeah, people are gonna get squeezed out of their positions and shit, essentially.
But so, I mean, I'm a little perplexed. Besides, like being like a betting, like a bet, like a group offering a bet. That's it, like a payout based on a bet, like it's a gamble, not
That's pretty
actual.
much it.
well, I mean, that's kind of how all investing is. It's a gamble. You're
I
betting.
know that's why I'm trying not to use the term gamble because it's just going to get muddied in the water. But it's just the explain it just so I don't have to theorize. Explain to me the manner in which you're able to short the crypto besides just saying betting against the futures. Like how are you actuating the bet?
They're called futures contracts. They're very similar to like official futures. So you can hedge. You can do shorts and longs with futures contracts on basically every exchange, like Binance, all of them. They usually call them futures. Is usually the phrase they use.
Yeah, and so with this strategy, I'm long Bitcoin and I'm short XRP. So it doesn't really matter if Bitcoin goes down or XRP goes up. What matters is that Bitcoin outperforms XRP. That's basically what I'm betting.
And then you're losing already because
They're
that
perpetual.
Bitcoin's definitely not outperforming XRP.
I think it will, sir.
Well, in trade volume and actual application, it's not. It's behind. Like every other crypto's always been based on Bitcoin going higher, and you'll see them go up higher. XRP is developing its own foundation right now, and you can see that if you're watching the market. It's becoming separate from Bitcoin's volume.
No, not really. I mean, all cryptos are still dependent. If Bitcoin goes up, usually most cryptos go down, or they also go up. I mean, and
Absolutely. And when Bitcoin goes down, the rest go down. The difference of XRP, if you've noticed the market for the past couple months, when Bitcoin goes down, XRP still goes up.
Can you come out here now?
Well, I think XRP is done. It's over for XRP.
Why do you say that, bro? That makes zero sense, dude.
Because the XRP Foundation is going to start selling.
They're selling what? That's not at all what's happening, dude.
There's no one left to buy. Everyone who was going to buy already bought. Now there's
Not
just
sure at all.
sellers left.
You didn't see how they just they're purchasing one of the largest trading companies that exists. That's going to add $4 trillion to just their cap.
That's not even real. Like, what are you even talking about?
Well, I'm not necessarily aware of that one, but either way, like I don't agree with your thoughts on Ripple and XRP at all. XRP is the only freaking legal crypto, in my opinion, that's gone through the legal scrutiny and come out victorious as to not be a security on the secondhand exchange market. Nothing else has done that, including Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, and the company Ripple just purchases is Hidden Road. They're purchasing it for 1.5 billion.
Okay, I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're making moves to develop further, not to backtrack and cancel out.
Almost called it Hidden Valley because of the ranch brand, but yeah.
Like, there's nothing that's going on right now that like gives weight to your position, Truth Seeker.
Well, I mean, I've studied the crypto markets for a very long time, sir. I think XRP is overvalued. I think, a bunch of retail investors got sold a fake narrative that XRP is going to revolutionize the finance industry, and I don't think that's true. I think they were just buying because they were hoping it would pump and make them rich. And now they're slowly going to have to come to terms with reality that XRP is not going to the moon.
Furthest from the truth, bro. Number go up.
it's an interesting position you have, but I mean, for me, I'd want a little more substance before settling on that perspective.
Risky, we can hear you spanking it in the background, bro.
Cheers, Tesla. Just waking up.
Please watch the video on the live stream. It's funny. The woman's like, "It's gonna be a very soft landing." Next thing you know, like a huge crash happens. People start laughing.
I hope they weren't drinking anything.
Please watch. It's hilarious, dude.
Did you see how Bezos came over with the hatchet and had to like do some little finagling on some janky looking little bolt, and the door like flimsily pops open, but mind you, it already opened up prior to that. I don't know, dude. No scorching on the sides or the bottom of that thing upon re-entry. There's just a lot of telltale signs.
Isn't the door facing the wrong way for space travel as well, for an airlock door?
No, not necessarily, because the door opened up on the inside. That's pretty much what you would want.
I thought it's supposed to swing outward, not inward for airlock.
Well, the pressure's going outward.
Yeah. It's got to stop it from opening up. So if you've got the pressure on the inside and it's opening in, the pressure's keeping it closed. Yeah, this whole thing's getting lit up on my social medias. Fucking every second thing is something about this. Even Jimmy Dawes saying it's fake. He's onto it.
Well, I forget she's like a black woman. I don't know. She was like a spokesperson of this whole event, and I guess she started receiving a lot of pushback publicly, like on, I don't know if it was Twitter or whatever, one of the platforms, and a lot of these people were her personal friends, I guess, that she was saying were saying it's a lie and shit. So.
It's not very good look you're sending up a whole bunch of Barbie dolls up into space. Like, what do you reckon is going to happen? They just leaned into the fakeness. I don't know, man. It feels like they're making this happen for this has got to be intentional.
But you do admit that many of them are very beautiful, right?
No.
You don't think? What about
No.
Katy Perry? Not even Katy Perry.
Look, man, I appreciate the fact that she has symmetry and like the curves, but there's something weird going on with that lady.
Looks like a fucking witch, bro.
Yeah, like curl, yeah, gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, she does. She's got the attractive figure and shape and look, but she's got witch written all over her forehead, dude.
I feel like she was groomed that way. I feel sorry for her more than anything. I feel like a lot of them are groomed that way as children in the Disney world. I don't hate them. I pity them.
There's definitely an aspect of that.
So do you?
I still think you got to call it out sort of for what it is, but yeah.
So Eli, when they turn someone transgender, do you also feel bad for them?
You trailed off there.
So you also feel bad for transgenders when they make someone trans?
Yeah, that person has been preyed upon, to the utmost degree. They've been made the subject of somebody else's fetish, really, strange fetish. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir. We need to have more compassion for these people. Many of them start taking estrogen, and there's nothing they can do about it. Sometimes they get hooked on it, and they need to take it for the rest of their life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to agree. I would never agree to indulge, the fantasy, but definitely strongly sympathize for them. I don't hate them. I don't want to tolerate it in the open space and encourage people to do it and celebrate these people preying upon children either, though. So but they twist the language and make it out like we're hateful. It's like it has nothing to do with hateful. Like, you're the hateful one. You're preying upon children. You're allowing people to execute sexual fantasies on their children.
Well, it's not a sexual fantasy. That's just them talking to a child. They're actually not doing anything wrong. They're just talking.
Here we go. Dirty theorist.
So, Truth Seeker, maybe you've seen some of these videos, or maybe you haven't seen them, where these children are putting money in people's kind of like, I guess, clothing, kind of like as if they're at the strip club. Have you ever seen those? Those drag queen strip shows where they even have children there?
I've never seen the money part, but I have seen the drag queen parades. Yes.
There was a short clip. I don't know. This might connect a couple of dots for your Truth Seeker. I'll go digging for it if you're interested. So there was a lady who sort of manages a hospital, over in America somewhere, and she's talking to like the board of directors and like a set of shareholders, and they're talking about sort of, okay, we've got this small tiny wing that's devoted to what do they call it? Sexual alterations. Let's just call it that. And they noticed that it was quite profitable. And so they're talking about closing down like that small one and opening up like a whole section in a hospital, because she was she was pointing out that basically the rise of interest in gender alteration is something that they can profiteer from. And this goes from like everything from down the bottom to like kids with dysmorphia looking to try to take estrogen. And at the same time, if the parents don't allow them, because you've got these independent teenagers, right? The legislation clearly seems to be trying to move towards the notion of allowing the children to gain autonomy from their parents in order to gain access to these sort of sexually altering drugs. So there's a whole sort of industry that seems to be sort of growing up and around this whole complex.
Great point.
Oh yeah.
Do you think they should ban that?
No,
Do
I
you
mean,
think?
if it's making money for the hospital and if it's making the people who get the surgery happy, it seems like a win-win for both sides. So I think they should continue it.
Do you know what the happiness quotient is?
People profit and take joy in crimes against humanity. Does not make crimes against humanity permissible or something that should be agreed upon or allowed by the rest of the public.
It was Stockholm syndrome. Here, let me alter this person's genitalia and then riddle them with drugs, and so that they're in a state of euphoria and complete mentally incapacitated. Really, let's do that, and then we'll call it a good thing. No, I'm good. That's not. You're not selling me, bro. That's the evil shit. You're not even gonna try to sell me that it's good. Like that's straight evil.
Yeah, Truth Seeker, wouldn't you think it's safe to say that children under the age of, let's just go with 16, do you think it's safe to say that they're not capable of making wise decisions for themselves?
Look, maybe if you're 16, you should wait till you're 18 to get the surgery. But I think if you want to go in hormone replacement therapy, you should be able to.
You should be able to go on hormone replacement therapy before your cognitive functions are fully developed. Because it takes till you're like 21, I think it's 20 for a female, 21 for a male, till your brain is actually fully developed. So should we really have something in place where people before they're fully developed can choose to alter their development?
Well, it's not really altering it. It's just that's the path they want to go down. If they feel like they're stuck in the wrong gender, they should be able to become the other gender.
That's the insanity. There is no way to become another gender.
Well, you can take the hormones, and then you'll start looking like the other gender.
It doesn't matter. You're either going to be an XY or an XX.
I can put on a Halloween costume. I can put on a Halloween costume, bro, and look like all kinds of things. I can look like Freddy Krueger. I can look like Jason, bro. I can look like Swamp Thing. We can look like all kinds of things to play dress up. That doesn't make me something different, dude. Like playing dress up. Playing dress up and play pretend is fun. You're having a tea party with your little girl as a father is just fun. Sitting down and having the teddy bears around the table and playing tea parties fun. Play pretend fun. Just pretend.
It's basically a chemical costume. It's like a chemical version of playing dress up. If you're going to chemicalize your body to change it, you're just trying to give yourself breasts or whatever it is. It's like a chemical version of trying to dress your body up into something different.
Well, the thing is, if you start the hormone therapy when you're younger, it actually makes you look more like the longer you wait, the worse it's going to look. That's why it actually should be allowed for them to start younger, because then they actually will be able to look like the other gender. They won't look like something in between. They'll look like what they actually want to look like.
It doesn't matter how much they wait. They will never convert their chromosomes to being from XXXY or XY to XX. They'll never do that. They will never be a DNA recognizable male or female, period. It's all emotion and dress up.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter if their chromosomes change or not.
That dictates whether they're male or female.
But we're not talking about sex. We're talking about gender.
Oh Lord, have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Gender is what you
Dude,
identify as.
you're talking about sexual fantasies now then.
Yep.
Because the only purpose for any of that would be to act out their sexual fantasies, the way that they engage with other people. I desire my engagements to be that of the female type. That's all this is. You're playing into a fantasy. You have shifted your person into Fantasyland and asking other people to indulge in dress up. That's all you are doing. You can change the vocabulary, try to play magic with it all you like. Care. It's play pretend.
I mean, yeah, if someone wants to live their fantasy, I don't think we should stop them. We should
I
just let
don't have to indulge you, neither does society, and your sexual fantasies do not get to be acted out in the common space. This is
Any
what was
fantasy.
agreed upon at the start of this nation. The perversions of Hollywood have entered into the home, and people are done with it, like the ones that you're talking to. You are talking to people who are fed up with what's on the TV and do not watch it, and then trying to convince us that it is good and wholesome when you have seen it, or maybe you just don't pay attention. It has ruined and rotted society to the core.
You don't have to interact with them. If they're in public,
Oh
you
my
can
God.
just leave them alone. You don't have to look at them. You can just leave them
They're
alone
trying
and
to
let them do
interact with
their own
my
thing.
children. They're trying to get
No, they're
into our
not.
schools and force their. Yes, they are. They're trying to get. They are already. There's an agenda for these people, just like the gay community back in the 80s and 90s had an agenda to subvert the education system, which is why many of them through activism became teachers and got into the school system. And they're doing the same thing with the trans ideology, which is why the states are getting to the point where they're banning that shit, because they're trying to force it into the curriculum despite the protests of the parents, which means these people, these political activists, through their college education, are trying to subvert the education system to their whims, despite what the parents in the county of that school actually want for their children. And this is going on everywhere. And you're not going to
Why
sit
is
here and
that a
deny that
surprise,
shit.
bro? You got to take a breath at some point. How is that surprising when the government already runs the schools? You got to homeschool your kids then. I mean, why is it a surprise that they're doing psycho stuff in schools? They've done it the whole time. There's been all kinds of psychotic stuff that's happened in schools. So why would it change? Why would it be different with this? Like, if you're going to give your kids to the school or to the government, then that's what they're going to be exposed to. So you have to homeschool them if you don't want them exposed to all that.
Yep. As far as them not coming for the kids, the trans community did come out with a song. I don't know if you remember it or not. About 4 years ago, "We're Coming for Your Kids." That was the name of the song.
Guys, this whole idea that trans people are trying to make your kids trans, that's like propaganda that's been used to try to divide and conquer. They're trying to divide the people so they can rule over them. Like, if someone wants to be trans, just let them be trans, and then you don't have to interact with them. It's not that big of a deal.
Of course, that's the same mistake people made with the gay community back in the day. Like, they had to do something against it, so it started turning into a whole fight for the rights type of thing.
Can I
The
just point
reality,
out,
yeah, let them do what they want to do, but don't make it a public thing that everybody needs to accept them, or get put in jail for speaking against it, or get banned and just whatever for saying anything about it online. Like, they are
sorry,
not
can I
just trying people trying to do what they want to do, but trying to curb the entire populace to accept it.
Frisky, would you acknowledge that kids indulge in fantasy during the action of play?
Yes, sir.
Cool. And they tend to do that a little bit more than adults, right? And sometimes they get caught up in it. Like, they're still learning about the world, they're engaging with it, and then they might, start indulging in some of these fantasies, especially if it's showing up a lot in the television screen and on the cartoons, right? So what ends up happening is the kid starts acting out a fantasy, and if the parents are primed in just the right way, the parents will start picking that up as like, oh, my kid wants to be transgender. And this has sort of many conflicts, and like a conservative parent would react to that necessarily in a nice way. But a liberal lefty sort of parent might sort of start indulging in it with them. Do you get where I'm coming from? And then all of a sudden you've got this hospital healthcare industry that is ready there to pick them up and carry them on this biochemical journey to imitate something that they're essentially, unfortunately, not. And it's kind of unfortunate, man. Yeah, I get it. It's just not what it is. This is a psychopathy, and it seems to be sort of it's operating on a societal level. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but I think you guys are making a big deal out of it. It's like 1% of the population is transgender. It's not that many people.
We're not the ones making a big deal out of it. The media is the one that's making the big deal out of it and trying to force it down people's throats. And if the media is going to use the outlets okay, to force their agenda, okay, which is to show us the 1% constantly and make it a part of our life when they're the 1%, right? Then the action has to be taken. We're
Maybe
not
you
allowed
should
to
stop
ignore them.
watching. Maybe you should stop watching Fox News then, sir.
Well,
I
I mean,
don't
I was
watch
saying
Fox
you
News.
could.
I'm in here and you're bringing it up.
I mean, I was saying you could take your kids out of public school, but I mean, the thing is that also takes a lot of work to homeschool and all of that. So, I mean, Truth Seeker, don't you agree that like if kids are talking about transitioning and that they're not a gender, and they start telling their other kid friends that, and they might convince other kids, oh, I want to be a girl or I want to be a boy, or for whatever reason. So then these like if you have like parents that are trying to trans, their kids or whatever, and then those kids are now telling their friends, hey, I'm going to be a girl next week, or I'm gonna be a boy. Don't you think that could then affect the other kids into making them think that they could just do it as well and they could just choose their gender? And that they could transition to or whatever, it would have like that influence on others. That when kids are in developing, they're confused. Girls are insecure, boys are insecure. All those issues going on. Like, do you think that's really healthy?
Well, I don't think it spreads that fast. I mean, I had one trans person in my class last year. It didn't spread to anyone. I mean, I don't really think little kids are wanting to become trans. It's usually like, I would say 17 to 20-year-olds.
But yet all these Hollywood people are, changing their children, right? And these are the people that they're trying to put on the TV to influence children because parents, by far and large, are unattentive, okay, and hand their children right over to the state. So we're not talking about people who sit around and have conversations. We're talking about people who fuck all the time and pop out children constantly and just hand them over to the state. So we have this plethora of little Kyles and just weird little fucking Jodies and all kinds of other things. No morals, no integrity, raised by the state, don't even know what their values are. And they make popular whatever on the TV, so they just go wherever the TV tells them to go because that's the fad and that's the trend and that's what we deal with. And it's like a swarm ocean of these motherfuckers. It's problematic.
Very. And Truth Seeker, would you support your tax dollars going to prisoners to get sex changes while in prison?
Well, I don't think my tax dollars should pay for it, but maybe the rich people should pay for it.
I wonder. Yeah.
Well, I identify as a yacht owner. The rich need to pay for my yacht before that fucking surgery. You can lop your own dick off. I can't build a yacht.
I mean, imagine if you were in prison and you were transgender, and wouldn't you want to be able to have it also?
Paid by
I don't give a
others?
fuck what somebody in prison wants. To be honest with you, they're in fucking prison.
Dude, nobody's in the wrong body at the end of the day. You were born exactly what you were meant to be. People may feel like they're in the wrong body. There's all kinds of psychological and emotional conflicts people have. Sexual abuse can lead to these very intensely. Sexual abuse happens at very young ages. So there could be all kinds of psychological, emotional things, but nobody's actually in the wrong body.
Well stated, Gio.
You're in the exact body you were divinely ordained to be in, with the exact gender and sex that it's designed to have.
Yeah, I think that was spot on.
Yeah, the crazy thing is the whole thing comes from how you feel and what you feel you are. And the funny thing is, in the realm of feelings, you're neither male nor female. That's literally dictated by your physiology. Within, you're neither. And that's shown by the fact that both male and female bodies produce both testosterone and estrogen.
Yeah. And Truth Seeker, what about this? Someone already received government funding for sex change, but they want to change back. Should they receive further funding, your tax dollars, to switch back? What's the limit? Can they switch back, and then switch just unlimitlessly, just switching?
No, I think they should probably have to stay. They should probably have to stay transgender.
But why? You indulged them the first time. Why not the second time? What is the defining factor for why you would switch?
Well, you'd probably switch back if people were making transphobic remarks. That's why we should, they probably would only switch back if people were being transphobic to them. So instead, what we should do is we should keep them trans and then try to fix the other people who are making those remarks.
I will keep them as
Oh
they
my
are.
lord!
Is phobic really the right word though? Like a fear of? Like you think people have a fear of them, or do you think people are like calling out some of the issues when their life is when they're told to change the English language, for example, to start using him, hers, like to actually change the way we speak, things like that. Like you think they're probably upset about that, or do you think it's I don't think phobia is the right word. So I'm asking you, do you really think it's a fear, like a phobia, or do you think it's something involved with them speaking out about why they're having to change the English language and change their lives for these other people's conflictions?
Well, it is a phobia. I mean, Eli was talking about how he doesn't want his kid to be trans, you know? They kind of do fear it.
Yeah, of course. I would not want my child to walk around feeling like they don't belong. That's what you're encouraging. You are encouraging and promoting a feeling of not belonging. Yes, you are. You liar. You want these children to not belong to anything, so that the state can prey upon them. You're literally sitting here advocating just for these people to be preyed upon by the state and not have anybody that loves them and encourages them and tells them that they do belong.
Okay, you gotta stop.
You're fucking evil, bro.
They feel like they don't belong because people like you tell them that they
It's
don't
not
belong and that they're weird.
You're the one who's encouraging it and telling them you're right. You don't belong. We should lop things off and change you around. That's what you're telling them.
No,
You're
I'm
evil,
saying
bro.
your feelings are valid if you want to become trans.
Oh my, you're evil, bro. You're so
You're the
evil.
one who's saying your feelings are
You're so
invalid. You should
evil.
not be able to have freedom.
So they should be able to do
you're
what they want with their bodies, but should we have to change the English language?
I don't think you should have to change anything. You should just, call them their pronouns just to be nice. But, if you really have a problem with it, you shouldn't be forced to call them different pronouns if you don't want to. I don't think you should force anything.
You ain't never known to love anybody, bro. You're so selfish.
How am I selfish?
You're selfish.
You're just saying that. You're the one that's selfish.
Bro, it's so obvious. You would destroy everybody and every family in order to make way for an invalid emotion that arises from trauma and need. It arises from a lack of emotional care in childhood. That's all it comes from.
No, I accept people for how they are.
I would sense it's more than that. I mean, there's a lot of people that have lack of emotion in childhood, and they're not all trying to change their genitals. So I would say mostly sexual abuse. There's a lot of confusion that happens when sexual abuse happens at very early ages, and their whole sense of self and gender and identity and all that can get subverted and suppressed and conflicted and fractured.
Absolutely. Sometimes they even say like a split personality emerges because of the trauma is so deep that it's like a way of an escape and a coping mechanism. But spot on.